What do you say there, everybody? Good morning to you. Happy Monday morning. Gio Setti, right back at you. All right, I'm here to recap last night's game. First things first, congratulations to the Chicago Bears. They played an inspired game. Last night, on the field, they were the better team. But it doesn't mean they're the better team. That's the nature of sports. That's the nature of the NFL. That's how things go. You know, what's that old saying? Mama says there'll be days like this. There'll be days like this, Mama says. Listen, first things first. The weather had nothing to do with it, all right? It was actually ideal for an NFL player. It was dry. There was no wind. It was a little chilly, but there's no sugarcoating there. The weather had nothing to do with it. McVay is a brilliant coach. But last night, perhaps outcoached. Not perhaps. He'll probably be the first to admit it himself. From a game planning perspective, as brilliant as McVay is, and I love the guy. I love his enthusiasm. I think he's the second best coach in the NFL. Can't say he's the best coach in the NFL because the best coach is on the New England Patriots. That's Belichick. Can't argue with success, right? So, given that said, all right, the Rams on both sides of the ball, you know what? I'm watching the game. As a Ram fan, I was upset because they weren't executing. There was no time. They just seemed like they were out of sync for most of the night. And that's okay. It happens. It happens in every sport with many teams. Very often on a given night, or a given day, the better team they could be better that day, but they don't emerge victorious. Okay, so we had one of those nights. You know, we couldn't run the ball, we couldn't run block. When Sullivan was lying flat on the grass because he got kicked in the head, I had a funny feeling about the night. Jared Goff is a young, brilliant, accurate quarterback. He's had nights, even in prime time, which I shared in my prior video. He's had nights where he's been flawless, slinging the ball 30, 40, 50 yards downfield with perfect precision. But last night, and by the way, the interceptions, let me just tell you something right now. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand this, all right? The first one, the offensive lineman stepped on his foot. That could throw you off. You're not going to have the same zing on the ball. The second interception was a halftime or right before the half chuck. Every quarterback does that. Sometimes it gets knocked down. Sometimes it gets picked off. And if there's a miracle, there's a Hail Mary reception. The third one, he had a hand in his face as he was throwing. No excuses, but those are facts. And then the fourth one, it was just in desperation. The night was over. But you know what? It was an ugly, ugly NFL game. You know what? Congratulations to the Bears. They outcoached us and they outplayed us. But you know what? They didn't shine so bright. Think about it. 60 minutes of football, one touchdown, one by an offensive lineman, 4 field goals and a safety. Okay? Yes, they proved that if you have a superior game plan, you could stop a team as efficient and as prolific as the Rams from executing. That's what they did. But you know what? The Rams are going to learn from this. There's no doubt. They will learn from this humbling experience. You know, you never forget where you came from. And they're going to persevere. We're 11-2. 11-2 after 14 weeks. 14 NFL weeks with the bye. 11-2. 3 games to go. Before the season started, if you were telling me we would be 11-2, 11-2, 11-2, at this point of the season, tied for the best record in the NFL, needing just a win to clinch a first-round bye in the playoffs, and if they run the table, and I'm not telling you the truth, I'm pretty certain the Saints will lose 1 or even 2 games, if you look at their schedule. But whether we have home field or not, the Rams still have the personnel. They have the personnel offensively. They have the personnel defensively. They have a fabulous coaching staff. We have great special teams. So, roster to roster, whether we're home or away, we're going to have every bit of chance to be successful in the playoffs and make the big dance, Super Bowl 53. And that's our goal. So last night, slight derailment, outplayed, humbling, if you will. Hey, it happens. There's nothing we could do about it. It's part of the game. Hey, listen, look at professional sports. And even in the NFL, look at just yesterday. Look what happened yesterday. The Steelers lost to the Raiders. The Patriots, probably the most prepared team in the NFL from a coaching perspective. The last play of the game, even Belichick blew it. Look at that alignment out there. How'd they let the Dolphins pull that off? But that's football. They lost. There's nothing you can do about it. All right? Looking in Major League Baseball. One game came to mind. Remember, you guys are Yankee fans? Remember back in the early 2000s, I think it was 2002, 2003, Josh Beckett, young kid, comes into Yankee Stadium in the World Series. When you just believe the Yankees, sold out crowd, the Yankees, their history, they would win. They got dominated by the Marlins. It happens. In boxing, Buster Douglas knocked out Mike Tyson in Japan. Remember that? Last year, the Rams lost in the playoffs. Learning experience, a humbling experience. They come back this year. You know what? That's what it's all about. Perseverance. Setbacks are inevitable. Bounce backs are optional. And we will persevere. Okay? So no panic, Ram fans. Rest of the NFL, the prognosticators out there, you want to talk your stuff, go ahead. Go ahead, bring it on. Rams will be prepared come playoff time. And you know what? I'd rather have a stinker now than a stinker then. Okay? Ready to rock and roll? It's on to next week. Push this aside. Sometimes you got to take a beating. Sometimes you don't have to play as good as you normally would. Sometimes you're going to be outcoached. But you know what? In the long run, you have every opportunity to make yourself whole again. And that's what the Rams are going to do. All right? So that's my quick recap. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys. Please, if you must, you could send me a comment. I'm open ears. But you know what it is? That is what it is. You have to accept reality the way it is. Not the way it was or how you want it to be. But you know what our reality is? Reality is last night's done. We're 11-2. We have the Eagles, we have the Cardinals, and we have the 49ers. Let's face it, you don't got to be a rocket scientist to know the Rams are either going to be 14-2 or at very worst 13-3. Agreed? If that's the case, think about that. If we knew that at the start of the season, we'd say, who's better than us? Life is good. Being a Ram fan is good. All right? So let's take it, absorb it. Piece of humble pie. Everybody's going to get better. Goff is going to be back to himself. Gurley's going to be back to himself. The offensive line, who was outplayed last night, they're going to be back to themselves. Coach McVay, he'll be back to what he does best. Okay? Love you guys. I'm going to give you one more. Let's go. Let's go into next week. Great ones never panic. Take care. Brush your hair.